All right. Welcome to our info session here at School16, where we will be discussing our advanced learning concentration classes. We offer many different types of classes here at School16. As Vadim mentioned on top of the call, many of the folks that join us are career transitioners or people trying to break into tech, but we recently decided to roll out classes for people who have a little bit more of an idea of what they want and want to dive deeper into a particular topic. So I'm going to get into that in a second, but that's why it's called Advanced Learning Concentrations. We have a number of programs at School16, and this is the program for people who are a little bit further along. We'll discuss what that means. But the agenda for today is we're going to dive into School16 and the curriculum here of what our advanced learning concentrations look like, the kind of classes we offer for people who are interested in tech careers. I'll give you a quick hint. We really only focus on the business side of technology. So if you want to be an engineer, a software developer, happy to refer you to other programs. Right now, we really focus on the business side of technology because there are fewer barriers to entry into those roles, and because there aren't that many alternatives for trying to get certifications and qualifications to get into roles like marketing, product operations, and sales, which is what our focus is on here at School16. We're going to show you who our amazing instructors and mentors and coaches are for the program. So you're going to get to see, at least on the slides, who they are. If you go through our admissions process and start getting into these classes, of course, you'll meet them. But today we'll show you who they are, what their experiences are on these slides, and what the career support looks like at School16. And then we're going to wrap up the info session portion of us talking by talking about what our admissions process is. And that includes sort of what you can expect going through the admissions process, how we make decisions, and what may make somebody a fit for it. Before I share the next slide that dives into our curriculum a little bit more or in more detail, I want to talk a little bit about who the advanced learning concentrations are for. As Vadim mentioned, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, again, the majority of people that come to School16, they come because they're changing careers or they're trying to enter a new career. That means that they may not have a lot of experience in tech. For the majority of people that join School16, they join our 16 weeks of programming. Our first 8 weeks are really focused around the foundations of tech to help people figure out where they might be a fit, to help people learn the terminology, to help people understand how to build their network, how to work on their LinkedIn to prepare themselves for a new career. And what our advanced learning concentrations are all about, the second half of the 16 weeks, the 8-week second half, is for people who are now getting a better understanding of what they want. So for the majority of people, so if you're kind of the person in this room who really doesn't know what they want yet, you really need a lot of guidance and context to figure out what job you want, you actually want to apply for our 16 weeks of programming where you go through that foundations class first, because we cover different modules. Every 2 weeks, you're going through a different module where you're learning about sales, you're learning about marketing, you're learning about product and operations, so you can decide what is the right fit for you. That is what the alumni in this room have done, and that is what our current students are doing as well. But if you are someone that's a little bit further along, maybe you have done some certifications on Google or through other programs or through self-paced learning. Maybe you've already done a ton of research and maybe even have been applying to jobs, and maybe you come from a different industry where you've done a similar role and now you want to use your knowledge and apply it to a technology career. For those kind of individuals, placing directly into our 8-week advanced learning concentration class, one of the 4 classes that we offer that we're going to cover in a few minutes here, that might be the right fit for you. So again, if you're really early, you're still deciding, you're not sure, you will need to go through the entire 16 weeks of the classes that we offer. But if you're a little bit further down the line, then you can place directly into an advanced learning concentration where you just choose one discipline and you dive deep into that discipline. And if you're not sure, that's okay. You can sign up with Chelsea or with another member of our admissions team, and we'll help you figure it out. We'll help you figure out which course offering is the right one for you. But today, we wanted to spend the majority of our time talking about what is an advanced learning concentration at School 16. What are these new classes that we're offering? And how are they different than, let's say, other certificates that you might be able to get online through self-paced learning and the like? I'm going to pass the baton here to Vadim to dive a little bit into our curriculum. And to do that, we're going to show one of our advanced learning concentration, kind of a preview of an advanced learning concentration, which is our product management class, to give you a taste of what a student might experience going through that class. So Vadim, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is an advanced learning concentration?
Absolutely. The purpose of our entire organization, but specifically of our advanced learning concentrations, is to make sure that you're prepared to obviously get these opportunities, but once you're in these roles, that you are going to be ahead of many other folks that may have not gone through this type of education that are learning on the job. We chose product management as an example because it's one of those careers that has people coming from all sorts of different disciplines. Even if you're in tech, for example, I'm one of those people. I started off working in sales, then I got into kind of like a pseudo, more of a technical sale role, doing sales engineering, and eventually I parlayed those skills and my skills as an entrepreneur, having built my own software products, into a product management role. You have people going into product management from customer success frequently. You have people going to product management from operations and project management roles, and marketing as well, right? It kind of runs the gambit. But one of the most important things when you're looking to pursue a role in tech is some hands-on experience. You know, the people that are able to do it, that land these opportunities, they were maybe doing internships, right? Maybe they were working on side projects themselves where they were building an app or a product. We're talking about product management specifically. Maybe they helped out a friend who was working on a startup. They've done something. Maybe they worked at a different department within a company, but they helped work on a product initiative. As a matter of fact, one of our lead instructors for our product class a few months ago, her name is Keisha Johnson. She worked in finance, a completely different industry, but she helped work on some of the internal products that they had, right? That they were building internal software that was going to help them solve problems for their financial stakeholders, for their finance customers. She'll use that experience internally to then get a job as a product manager. And now she's a senior product leader, right? And you could advance your career there really quickly. But we wanted to embed that directly into our curriculum, right? If someone doesn't necessarily have some of this experience themselves, how do we replicate that? How do we create that experience through a classroom settings? And that's done in a couple of different ways. One, the classes are taught, of course, by a product manager, someone that, we like to, our instructors, we like to bring in instructors that were able to transition their career into product management. They also come from non-traditional backgrounds. They've gone through what many of us in this room are going through as well. And that's why it's so important to learn from somebody like that. The second piece of it is getting actual tangible experience in that role as much as you can through classroom experience. And we do that through project-based work, right? So what that looks like is through the 8-week period, you're given essentially a case, if you will, through a real company. And you're put into teams, and and again, I'm going to be talking about the product management concentration here, but start thinking about how this may apply to digital marketing. If you're a marketer trying to bring leads to your organization, in sales, if you're responsible for communicating the value proposition of a product to a customer or stakeholder, and customer success, right? If you're working on onboarding a customer or upselling them, or project management, if you're working through a complicated project and you need to get it to the finish line, again, working with multiple stakeholders internally. But through this example of product management, a product manager needs to be able to look at a product and a specific part of the product, let's say a feature, and see how they can improve it, right? That's one of the use cases for what a product manager needs to do for their job. It obviously, there's many other use cases. It depends on the stage of the company, but that's one of the use cases. So throughout our program, our students are given a scenario, a real world scenario for a real company, and they're working in groups, actually working through getting this tangible experience by prototyping the feature that they're working on, by thinking about how does this actually solve the customer's problem, by doing some test customer interviews, right, with people that they can find potentially in their network or that they find throughout direct outreach. By then presenting what they found through their research, which product managers do a lot of research, customer research, data research, all these different things, to internal stakeholders, like maybe a CEO or a VP of product or a CTO, or even it could be a chief marketing officer, whoever it is, when they're looking to make a product decision. And so our students are working through these real world case studies. They're doing the actual work that a product manager would need to do in the classroom. And there's a really big reason why they're doing this. Well, I would say two. One is to be able to put this on your resume. And two is to be able to actually talk through how you would solve a product problem or a product challenge when you're in the interview. This is one of the biggest things that, people struggle with. They may get interviews when they're pursuing a product management job, but once they're in the room, if they don't have the tangible experience, they're not going to be able to actually convey confidently to the hiring manager that they know how to think through a product problem. And that's, I would say, one of the most important things that they're going through in our classroom is they're learning how to think through a product problem. They're getting direct feedback from a product manager, our instructor, so that by the time they're going into the room with a hiring manager who is obviously most likely going to be a product leader, they know how to talk through how they think through solving a product problem. They're really prepared there. So that project-based curriculum is really critical to make sure our students have that real-world experience so that they can communicate that when they're in the room with a hiring manager and increase their chances significantly of getting that job offer.
So why don't we pause here very briefly to see if anybody has any questions either about the curriculum and how it works, or about who is the right fit for the advanced learning concentration in School 16. So any questions about those two things, the curriculum or whether you might be the right fit for the program? You can feel free to type your question or unmute yourself as well if you'd like to ask it.
Hi, Sergey and Vadim.
Hey, Nirva.
So I just have this one question. So you said we are going to develop a product and work on an issue from a real company, right? So are we gonna make a website where we can, where the website that we can show to the recruiter that this is what we have worked on? Are we gonna make one of those things, a portfolio or something like that out of the projects that we are gonna do, or how will that work?
Yeah, absolutely. The importance is the details here. And so what we try to do in the example of this product management concentration course is take a very specific problem and work on that problem, right? So creating a website is like, if you're working in a startup, you may need to create a landing page or a website. That might actually be something that you would do, creating a landing page in the marketing concentration. A marketer needs to be able to write copy. They need to create a landing page and the like. And so you need to showcase those skills to a hiring manager. In this case, yes, you're going to have a portfolio essentially through this sort of example of building out a feature for a particular product, but we do that through a prototype, right? So using something like mockups or Envision app, it depends on what the instructor chooses for the particular course. And you are going to be working through that prototype as one of the things that you do for their entire project that lasts the sort of 6 to 8 weeks. Yes.
The other example of things you can add to your quote unquote portfolio. So one thing I'll say, Nirva, is what your portfolio looks like is really up to you. For some people, they have like a Google Drive folder that they share to showcase their work. For some people, it's a website. That's really up to you. But what we do is in the different classes, each class, depending on what you're learning, you are working on a particular project. You're maybe filling out a worksheet of some sort, where, for example, in the project management class that we have, you will be creating a project plan. And that project plan is designed in a worksheet in exactly the same way as a real project manager would do. So then you can take just literally that Google Doc of that project plan, and that can be part of your portfolio. So how it actually looks and how you present it to employers is up to you. But the point is that you are developing different assets throughout the concentration class.
You're developing these assets and you're learning how to talk about it in an interview. And that's the big opportunity that you get in interacting with an instructor, both in the classroom, in the project classes, and through office hours.
Other questions before we move on? Great. So it looks like we have a question in the chat here. As a CSM, I'm assuming you mean customer success manager. Sometimes customer support can have similar abbreviations, but you currently deal with multiple products and services to upsell. Would this program assist with boosting my career? So, it depends on what you're looking for in terms of boosting your career. I mean, I can very confidently say yes, but of course I would need to know more. So for example, we have a sales and customer success as one of our concentrations. So if you, for example, wanted to go deeper into customer success, depending on the level of experience you have in that role, yes, like it depends on the job that you have. So are you trying to go from a customer success role at one company to another company in a CSM role, or are you completely trying to get out of customer success into a different role in tech? So let us know a little bit. Okay, from one company to another, great. So if you are maybe stuck in one company and you want to go to another company, that is something that it would be helpful with, because one of the things that happens in our classes is you're learning from a professional that is in the field, and you're getting exposed to a lot of different professionals through the mentors that we have and the career coaches that we have. And part of what's actually embedded in the curriculum in the class is helping prepare you for interviews at really competitive companies, right? So how do you go through that interview process for, let's say, a company where a lot of different people want that same job, right? So if you're looking to level up, that is also another reason why people take our classes. Happy to dive deeper into that as well, Sue. If you have more specific questions about where you might need help, feel free to type it into the chat. Great, and Ramita is interested in project management. So we're gonna move on now, folks. Please type your questions in the chat so we can address them as we go. But I do wanna show to you who the instructors are for our advanced learning concentrations, so you get a better sense of who you're learning from and how we go about recruiting these individuals. As you can see here, all the people that we hire for our advanced learning concentrations are very experienced. And actually the majority of them come from outside of tech, or they transitioned into these technology companies. For example, I can tell you Kendra, who we brought in to teach our project management class, she actually started off working in retail. She worked for major retailers like Nike and Apple, but she actually focused on the retail side of those businesses. She was outside of the tech industry. And when she joined Indeed, she was actually chosen out of many different people that were competing for a senior project management role. She was chosen for the project manager role, a senior project manager role, without actually much project management experience. The way she was able to do that very quickly, even though she was competing against people with a lot of project management experience, is because she found she was doing internal networking. So she learned how to network in the organization to find allies, and she learned how to position her previous experience to be relevant for the project manager role, which is why we chose her to teach this class. Is she will be teaching people how to position themselves as project managers and project management leaders, even if they don't have that as a job title necessarily on their resume. So that is how we think about recruiting these folks. Adria Simmons, she actually has taught our foundations class for a long time. She is someone that had a lot of different roles in tech. So she has done startup jobs. She's worked at big companies like LinkedIn and Google and Microsoft. She's worked at marketing roles, sales roles, product management roles. The reason why we chose Adria is because she is very versatile. She can help people think about different roles and how to position themselves regardless of the kind of background they have. She's also a great testament for someone that has kind of done a lot of different things in tech. You know, it's possible to get into one role and then figure out, okay, you know what, I'm actually really more interested in this other thing. Let me figure out how to position my previous background to get my foot in the door in this future role. And so this is what she did. She's now on a sales function, a sales leadership function at Microsoft, and it's a consultative sales job that she has. If you're in customer success, for example, and you're interested in customer success, you probably already know that for many companies, it is, yes, it's kind of an account management, customer service type of role. You're helping people take advantage of the technology that they're using, but you're also helping upsell you. It's also very much so a sales function, which is why we combine the advanced learning concentration into one, sales and customer success, because without having sales skills, you can't really succeed in a customer success role. And that's why Adria teaches that advanced learning concentration. Alex Wu, she's somebody that's been in a lot of different companies. Etsy was one of them. Spotify is the one that she's a product leader at now. She is someone that actually was a mentor at School16. So she helped coach people and mentor people about their careers if they were interested in product. And so we identified her as a really strong mentor. We decided to bring her in as a product expert to lead our product management concentration class. And then finally, Grace, and the reason why Bree brought on Grace, so we actually met her when she spoke at an event that we hosted about breaking into digital marketing classes in tech. Grace was able to really get into technology companies and position herself as a growth leader. If you don't know what that means, there are a lot of different types of roles in marketing, but growth is probably one of the most sought after, growth marketing, one of the most sought after roles, one of the ones that pays probably the most and people are able to level up very, very quickly. What that means in terms of growth is that is the person in the company that is in charge of helping companies running experiments, sometimes even programmatically, to be able to help grow customers and find new customers much quicker than other companies can do. She's done that at The Skim. She's done that at theknot.com, which is one of the biggest wedding registry websites in the world. They're a publicly traded company now, and she's worked at other startups before. Now she's actually running her own consulting practice, and she decided to come in and teach a marketing class, a digital marketing class at School16. So that's just a little bit about the instructors that we have who are very experienced, who most of them have transitioned from other roles into tech, and that's why we decided to bring them on to teach these concentration classes. So I can see a couple questions here in the chat. So let's see if we can address any of the questions here. I can see that Chelsea already dropped in and started addressing the questions as well. Actually, great. Looks like Chelsea has addressed a lot of the questions. Vadim, I don't know if you had a chance to read through some of these, but anything that we can address that maybe Chelsea didn't get a chance to do so in the chat?
Yeah, I think I'll just add to clarify. I think it was, let's see, Asia's question. And again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, because you asked about the depth of technical teaching. So just to make sure that there's clarity around that. So there's a couple of different product management roles. There's technical product manager. That's usually when you have somebody that's been a software engineer in the past, and then they're going into product management. It is more technical. You typically have to have coding skills. And then there's a standard product manager role. Most people that go into get into product management that is not technical product manager, they actually have no technical skills. I mean, they may be able to run SQL queries, but you're not writing any code. And most of the time, something like SQL is actually learned on the job because the use case is going to be so different for every single company. And Alex Wu, who's the instructor for our product management course, she did that exact same thing. She used to be in operations. Before that, she was in finance, I believe. And she got into product management without any technical experience. But what we focus on in our product management courses, and it's best to follow up with Chelsea, and she can provide you with a syllabus, but it's making sure you're learning the different concepts that are related to what a product manager does and actually putting it into practice. And so that includes understanding how to run customer interviews, understanding how to make data-driven decisions when you're a product manager, understanding validation techniques, right? How do you validate or invalidate a particular use case or particular product or feature? And then prototyping the product or feature as well. So you're going through the course, getting exposure to the different responsibilities of a product manager would need to do to make sure that you're prepared for the role. But it's probably better to dive into the syllabus a little bit deeper, and definitely something that we can discuss on an admissions call if you apply. But if you're someone that was an engineer before and you're looking for a technical product management role, that's probably something a little bit different than what you're taught here. But most product managers do not have any coding experience.
So I wanted to,
the ones that we work with.
Yes. Thank you, Vadim. Yeah, great questions coming into the chat. Thank you, Chelsea, for jumping and answering those. I want to again clarify, because I know we had a few folks join the call who are not here probably for the beginning of the conversation. If you're really interested in learning about really the fundamentals about various different roles in tech, because you're not sure yet, you want to learn about networking fundamentals, how to improve your LinkedIn, how to do things like, improving your resume and the like, and how to figure out what the right target is for you in terms of a role, then you will want to apply for our 16 weeks of courses, which is the first 8 weeks is the foundations class, where you learn and you get exposed to these various roles and you learn a lot about the career development side of things. And then you will place into an advanced learning concentration after that. If you're a little bit beyond that, where there's some alumni here on the call, I see, there's other people that maybe have been in tech in other roles, that person that maybe Sue, who's in the customer success role, or someone else, then you may consider applying directly into an advanced learning concentration if you already know what you want. So these are the 4 classes that I'm showing here. Those are the 4 advanced learning concentration classes, the separate classes that we offer now. So when you're applying, we will be discussing with you which one is a fit for you and then helping place you into that role. That being said, even though the beginning of the program really focuses on the foundations, we're still very much so career development focused, even in the advanced classes as well. So you have access to coaching. So let me now jump into the next slide. You will have access to career coaches who run workshops on a regular basis, such as working on your LinkedIn or improving your resume or making yourself more marketable. You will have access to those workshops throughout the program. And you will also have access to mentors, which I'll jump into in a second, but we have dedicated career coaches who are qualified in actually helping people think about their careers and positioning themselves for the right role. Ari has been doing this for a very long time. She comes from an operations role at several fast-growing technology companies where she was a director of operations before she became a certified professional coach. Carlotta is another one of our career coaches who started off as a mentor. Now she's formally a coach at School16. She started off in PR, then she ended up getting into other marketing roles before she got into Oracle, and now she is working at Shopify in a partnerships role. She's actually based in the UK. If you're applying, you're interested in roles in Europe, she can give you that unique insight, but she's also worked in US-based companies as well. So these are our career coaches. You can meet with them for office hours throughout the program and also join the workshops that they offer. And then we also have mentors. This is just an example of our mentors. We have more than 5. We have any given time between 10 to 15 mentors at School16 who cycle through. And what they do is they offer office hours, a few hours a month, where it's kind of on a first come, first serve basis. If you decided you wanted to, for example, you wanted to dive in, and let's say you're taking the sales and customer success class, and you want to, maybe you're learning about sales training, and you wanted to talk to an enterprise company, like a B2B enterprise company. You may want to meet with someone for office hours to learn about their experience. They're not a career coach, but there's somebody who has the job that you may be interested in, and you want to not only network in that company, but learn more about their job. So this is what these mentors do. They meet with students for office hours, first come, first serve. They offer their availability. You sign up, you meet for like 20 minutes, half an hour, and you can ask Blair questions about her job. You can see if your experience makes sense for a company like Salesforce or for sales enablement as a career, so that you're getting different perspectives during your time at School16. You're learning from your instructors, you're learning from your career coaches, but you're also starting to network with mentors and then doing your own networking outside of School16 as well. So there's tons of opportunity for networking, tons of opportunity for learning from other professionals in School16, so that you are very confident by the time you're applying to these jobs. We want you to have the confidence to talk about yourself, not as an outsider, but as a professional who can add value to these organizations, which is why we bring in so many different people of all different walks of life, different experiences, to give you that confidence to pursue these various roles. All right, awesome. Now I want to talk a little bit about the schedule so that you're aware. All of our classes at School16 are online, fully online, and part-time. Now, these are not passive classes where you're watching a recording and kind of doing an assignment based on the recording. There's a lot of programs that offer that. We don't think that people learn effectively that way. Moreover, most people come to us after doing certificate programs like that because they're not getting results. They're not getting the jobs. And so interactive classes is what we focus on here at School16. So if you join School16, you're expected to show up to every class, show up live, and expected to participate, work on a project, work in the groups, because that is how you're going to get the confidence to get these roles, and you're going to build that portfolio as well. So all of our classes, the schedule that we have for the next several months is either Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays, depending on the classes that you choose, but always in the evenings Eastern time, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, because the majority of our students, that schedule works regardless of where they are in the country or where they are in the world. If for some reason you had to miss a class or a few classes, you can watch a recording. We record every single class, and you can watch a recording so you can catch up and not be behind. So we do know that things get in the way, and you may need to miss some classes. But that being said, if you join us, part of the reason why we run an admissions process is we really try to figure out who is committed and able to join based on the schedule that we have. So next, I'm going to jump into the application and admissions process here. And why don't I let Chelsea, if you don't mind, why don't I let you take it away so you can talk a little bit more the admissions process in detail. Let me see if I have a specific admissions slide. No, this is really what we have for the admissions process and the applications process. So Chelsea, if you can, let you take it away and talk a little bit about how we think about admissions and how we think about who to accept into the program and really how it works from a logistics standpoint.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, here at School16, as we've all discussed, we really are helping folks who want to break into tech, or in this case, like level up in that current career path that they have. So when it comes to folks that we look for during the admissions process, is we really want to see drive. At the end of the day, it does take hard work to land a job. It takes hard work to grow professionally. So we really want students who have that drive and are willing to put in the work and take the initiative to take advantage of all of the resources that we provide here at School16. We also want to see curiosity with our students, folks who, are just dipping their toes into the tech space. We, are more than welcome to, chat with you and talk to you about the industry, but definitely we want that level of curiosity. If the tech space is not the area that you want to go into, that's totally fine, but there might be a program that just fits your needs a little bit more. So having that curiosity towards the tech industry is really helpful for us. And then when it comes, we also want to see some level of professional experience. So with a lot of you folks who are interested in joining us directly into those advanced learning concentrations, then we already know coming in that you have a pretty strong professional background. But for folks who maybe don't have, aren't coming into this webinar wanting to enroll directly in those ALCs, just knowing that having some sort of professional experience is beneficial. We do work with folks who are still in college. We do work with folks who, maybe didn't go to college and are still pretty novice in their career. So I don't want to knock you out if you still are just getting your foot in the door when it comes to your professional experience. But those are kind of the three things that we really want to see in our applicants to make sure that, you are ready to take that next step. But also we really want to focus on like building that community with your cohort mates. We know that all y'all are in the same boat, trying to level up in your career. So we want you to be able to learn and grow and, all of those things from each other. So when it comes logistically to the program, here you'll see this website that you can go ahead and apply at. The application is pretty quick and simple. If you have a LinkedIn profile or a resume, it definitely makes the application process even quicker. But if you don't have either of those, that's totally fine. You would just want to answer and spend a little bit more time answering some of those questions. After you submit your application, it's usually within 1 to 3 business days, depending on application volume, that you would hear back from somebody on the admissions team, letting you know if you are moving on to the next step, which is scheduling an interview, or if we just have some additional questions that we want to touch base on. During the interview, you would meet with any of us folks on the call right now, and those interviews take place over Zoom. They are about 30 minutes long, and that's an opportunity for us to get an understanding of, hey, what is your professional background? What's your educational background? And then also, what are your professional goals? We want to make sure that your goals align with what we can offer you and what we can support you with. So those are kind of the things that we want to get to know during the interview. So it's not going to be like a traditional job interview, but still be coming prepared to talk about those work experiences, talk about the skills that you have, and what you're hoping to get out of the program is very helpful. We also save about 5 to 10 minutes to review any questions that you have about the program and to also cover logistics. After the interview, usually within 1 to 2 business days, you would hear back from us. And that's, with your acceptance letter, what your scholarship tuition, all that good stuff is going to be. And then we would work through the process of getting you enrolled. And then again, answering any questions that you have along the way. Does that kind of cover, Sergey? And then I guess any questions?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, why don't we pause here, folks? Any questions on the admissions process specifically? Vadim just dropped the application link. There is a deadline coming up because our classes, our first batch of advanced learning concentration classes is starting on Monday, August 29th. So it's pretty quick turnaround. If you are an alumnus of School16, do email us directly at one of us, either me, Vadim, or Chelsea, so that we can make sure we get you on the calendar to speak with you. If you have not participated in any School16 programming, please submit that application. We'll figure out what the right program is for you. This is the cost of our just the 8-week program. So the tuition for the 16 weeks is higher. All that information is on the website. However, we do offer partial scholarships based on need and flexible repayment options for students, which we're happy to talk to you about during the interview process if you apply. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and see if anybody has any other questions. Again, it could be about the programs, it could be about the admissions process, or anything else. We'll treat the next several minutes as kind of an open Q&A. Or if you just want to get to know us, that's cool too. So just want to feel free to let folks ask any questions that they might have here directly. So feel free to just unmute yourself if you have anything for us here. Yes, the elective classes. So really good question, Janai. So as I mentioned, the classes are, the schedules are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And if you get into, if you place into advanced learning concentration, which since you're completing our initial 8-week program, of course, you will, then depending on the class that you choose, you have an opportunity to take an elective class as well. So for example, we split it up into two what do I call it? Kind of 2 sections, I should say: sales, customer success, and marketing. So great, thank you, Vadim, for sharing the syllabus there. And product management and project management. So if you get into, for example, a product management class, you can also jump into elective classes on days where you don't have class for your product management class. So the schedule for the product class is Mondays and Wednesdays. That means on Tuesdays, you can go into the project management class as an elective. Why do we do that? Because there are overlaps between the two. Similarly, if you're in a project management class, which runs on a Tuesday, Wednesday schedule, you can go into the Monday classes as an elective for the product class. You will also have access to the recordings for the classes that overlap where you weren't able to join because you have your core class right there. So for the product and project management class, again, just to clarify, if you join one of those classes, you can join an elective class in one of those disciplines. So if you join in product, you can join on an elective class on days where you don't have product classes in project management, and vice versa. If you join a sales and customer success class, you can join and choose to take an elective in marketing. Or if you join a marketing class, you could choose to take an elective in sales and customer success. Join those classes live when they don't overlap with your schedule, and watch recordings where they do overlap. That's an opportunity that we wanted to give to any of our students that choose an advanced learning concentration, because it does help. If you're doing sales, it helps to understand marketing and dive deeper into marketing. If you're doing marketing, it helps to understand sales. Same with product and project management. So those are the elective classes. You will not be responsible for the deliverables of those classes because you're going to be working on the deliverables for your chosen advanced learning concentration, but you can sit in on those classes and watch the recording so you get the benefit of the context from those classes as well.
And by the way, that elective class and attending that class or getting access to the recording, all those resources, they're included in the tuition for your chosen advanced learning concentration.
Awesome. So
Boris had a,
go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
Boris had a question that I just wanted to make sure that we answered. I figured y'all would have a better answer than I could come up with via chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So Boris, yeah, who's a good fit for product management, for the product management program at School16? Product management is one of those roles out of all the different concentrations that we teach. It's probably the one that is the most competitive to get into as a career. The reason is because typically it requires some exposure into what it takes to develop and launch a product. So who have I seen be successful break into product roles? People who have worked on their own product ideas, perhaps for their startups, where they've done some prototyping of those roles, not necessarily running a successful startup, but just if you ever had an idea and you started developing prototypes and you started getting feedback from people on those prototypes, you could be a good fit for a product role. If you've been in tech already, for example, so maybe you've done a customer success role or a project management role in tech already, where you have some exposure to the engineering teams, to the design teams, to other product teams, right? So you've had some exposure to product teams, then you may be a fit for the product roles, right? Vadim talked about in the beginning of the call how he started off in sales, tech sales. He then got into sales engineering, where he became more of a product expert, and that was a natural transition into a product role. So I would say, if you've never had any experience at all in tech or in being close to product people, such as engineers or people who are making product decisions, then it might be hard for you to break into a product role. You probably should consider getting your foot in the door in tech in another role and then getting into product later. For example, another role, product marketers oftentimes transition into product roles later on. So that's just a little bit of a help in understanding that. Now, if you have already gone through School16's foundations class and you've demonstrated an ability to really excel in the product function, we have a product module dedicated specifically 2 weeks in our foundations class in the first 8 weeks. Then you can place directly into a product management concentration because you've already demonstrated to us in School16 through our programming that you could be a good fit for a product job, even if you haven't directly had that experience in the past.
And then we've had students that if they are, started working in tech, let's say in customer success, they can also be a good fit into transition into product. So it really depends on what your background is. Definitely something we can talk through during the admissions process, because every single student and every single person will have a very different use case and different story.
So to answer Adriana's question, can you join 2 programs at the same time? While you won't be able to fully take 2 advanced learning concentrations at once because each of them require a lot of focus and you're working on projects in each of them, anyone that joins an advanced learning concentration can take electives. That means some of your classes can be in the other discipline, and you can watch any recordings that you might miss because your class schedule overlaps with another class. So if you're taking the sales class and sales and customer success class, you can join in live on the days that you don't have that sales class. You can join live the marketing class as an elective and watch the recordings, but your focus is really going to be that sales class. Vice versa, if you decided to join the digital marketing class, your focus is really going to be over that 8 weeks, the digital marketing, but you will be able to jump into the sales classes as an elective and watch those recordings. You just won't be responsible for all the deliverables, and you probably won't be joining the projects in those classes because you're going to be really focused on the concentration that you choose. So it'll be an elective, you'll be able to join the classes, but you'll be really focused on your concentration. And if later you decided you wanted to take a concentration and just focus on the other one, you can do so as well, of course. But it would be after successfully completing that advanced learning concentration class. And if you're still not sure, by the way, Adriana, feel free to of course, hop on a call with Chelsea, myself, or Vadim in the next week or so. We can help you figure out what makes the most sense for you. Awesome. All right. Thank you, by the way, Chelsea and Vadim, for jumping into the chat and addressing a lot of those questions. Super helpful. Any other final things you wanted to share or ask before we jump off? Chelsea just really helpfully shared her calendar. So if you want to jump in a quick kind of informational call one-on-one, you can do so with Chelsea. Please note that we have a lot of interviews coming up in the next several days. We've had a lot of applications come in, both for our advanced learning concentration classes and our foundations classes. So if you want to talk to her, I encourage you to book something right when you get off this call. So click on that link so you have it now and right when you get off this call, because otherwise she just might not have availability. Awesome.
All right. Well, it looks like there are no.
So like,
one more question.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that like someone who has already attended the last course, I can say that this one seems like much more in detail and informative. And I saw that the ability to also attend another classes is actually really great for someone, you know, who is really into product management, but who can still learn other aspects without like joining the actual, like the whole course. And also networking was really great when I joined the last course. Networking is the best part. I still have mentors, like they have kind of became close friends, I would say. We talk almost every other week and check up on each other, and like they guide me through it. So I just want to say that was really helpful. So just for everyone else, if you guys are wondering, you will receive a great support at any point of time. Like if you text anyone, if you email anyone, you will receive a response. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you, Nera. I appreciate that. You know, for one of the reasons why we started School16 is just we felt that other programs and even like university programs, right, like graduate classes, unfortunately just don't offer the kind of support that people need. Sure, you can have good classes in some programs, but the support is so important and the networking piece is so important. So I'm really glad that was helpful for you. And thank you so much for mentioning that, because that is an important aspect of School16. It's not just about what you learn in class. It's very much so what you do outside of class within the School16 network that's going to determine your success. Awesome. Thank you, Nera. Thank you everyone for joining us here today and for asking all those fantastic questions. And with that, we're going to sign off, but we are excited to see you hopefully in an admissions interview call. So do submit that application or reach out to us directly and we'll chat with you soon. So thanks a lot and appreciate your time.
Bye, everybody.